The lock clicked at 2 a.m. I knew that sound. I should have been terrified.
Did I wake you?
His voice was low, familiar, like he'd done this 100 times. The worst part? I wasn't scared at all. But let me start from the beginning. Chapter 1. The new apartment. Moving into a new place feels like a fresh start. New walls, new light, new air that doesn't carry anyone else's history. I'd signed the lease in February and moved in the first weekend of March. Boxes everywhere, furniture half-assembled, the specific chaos of a life in transition. The first few weeks were everything I'd imagined. My boyfriend Jake came over almost every night. We were that couple, the kind that makes the most of new walls and the understanding that nobody knows your name yet. The apartment was ours in every way that mattered. We didn't think about neighbors. We didn't think about thin walls or the couple next door or the fact that the terrace door didn't close all the way. We just didn't think.
You know they can probably hear you from the hallway, right?
Jake said it once, laughing, propped up on one elbow. Let them, I said. He laughed harder, and then neither of us thought about it again. Those first weeks felt untouchable, loud and warm and completely ours. But that was before I understood what kind of building I'd moved into, and before I understood exactly who held a copy of my key. Chapter 2. The Realtor. I'd met Ryan during the apartment search. 3 weeks of open houses, overpriced studios, and listings that looked nothing like their photos. He was the agent assigned to my file, and the moment he walked into the first showing, I understood immediately why his reviews mentioned how easy he was to work with. He was tall. Dark hair, easy smile, the kind of face that made you forget what you were supposed to be evaluating. I remember thinking during that first walkthrough, if this apartment doesn't work out, at least the viewing was worth it. I signed the lease. He shook my hand at the door. Professional, clean, done. Except I thought about that handshake longer than I should have. The building had a policy. The agency retained a master key for emergency access, standard procedure, fully disclosed in the lease agreement in a paragraph I had skimmed and initialed without reading closely. I didn't think about it again. Until the afternoon he knocked. Chapter 3. The Towel. It was a Thursday. Jake was at work. I'd just stepped out of the shower when I heard the knock. 2 even raps, the kind that suggested someone with a reason to be there. I wrapped the robe tighter and opened the door. Ryan. He was holding a folder, something about updated building documentation, a new clause in the lease terms, standard stuff that required a signature. He was apologetic about the timing, professional about the visit, eyes doing the polite thing where they stayed at face level. I was very aware of the robe. He handed me the folder. I took it. And then, I don't know exactly when the decision happened, but it did. I stepped back from the door instead of forward. Come in, I said. I'll sign it inside.
I can wait here. It's no trouble. I know I can wait.
I said come in, Ryan. He came in. I set the folder on the counter, made no move toward the bedroom to change, poured 2 glasses of water like this was a completely ordinary situation, and handed him one. He took it. His eyes moved, just once, just briefly, and then came back up.
The clause is on page 3. It's just a maintenance access update, nothing significant. You just need to initial the bottom.
Tell me about it, I said, while I read. I leaned against the counter. The robe was doing very little to suggest this was a professional interaction.
It's really standard. The building just wants written confirmation that the agency can access common areas for routine checks. Nothing that affects your unit directly. It's the same clause every tenant signs.
He was talking faster than necessary. I initialed page 3 without reading it. Is there anything else that needs signing?
No, that's everything.
Neither of us moved toward the door. The folder sat on the counter between us, signed and irrelevant.
I should go, he said. I have another showing at 4.
You have time. I said. He looked at me for a long moment.
You have a boyfriend.
I know.
This is a bad idea.
I know that too. He set his water glass down on the counter. And then it was a very different kind of afternoon than either of us had planned. Afterward, he dressed quickly and professionally, like he was reconstructing something. He picked up the signed folder, smoothed his jacket.
This doesn't...
I know, I said. Go to your 4 o'clock. He left. I stood in my kitchen in my robe and thought about Jake, who would be home in 3 hours, and about the way Ryan had looked at me from the doorway before pulling it shut. I told myself it was done. I was wrong. Chapter 4. The 2 a.m. click. 3 nights later, I woke up to a sound. A specific sound, the particular mechanical sequence of a deadbolt disengaging. The soft, deliberate rotation of a key in a lock. My lock. At 2 a.m. I went completely still, every muscle locked. I lay on my back, staring at the ceiling, and ran through every possible explanation in the 3 seconds before the bedroom door opened. Jake had a key. But Jake always texted before coming over late. My phone was dark on the nightstand. No messages. The door opened, and Ryan's silhouette filled the frame.
Did I wake you?
I should have screamed. Should have grabbed my phone. Should have done the rational thing that any person alone in an apartment at 2 a.m. should do when an unauthorized person opens their door. Instead, I felt my heartbeat do something complicated. How did you get in? I asked. My voice came out steadier than I felt.
Master key. Building policy. I told you, it's in the lease. I'd never use it without a reason.
And what's the reason? A long pause.
I've been thinking about Thursday since Thursday. I couldn't stop. I tried. I had 3 showings today, and I couldn't tell you what any of them looked like inside because I kept thinking about you in that kitchen. I know this is wrong. I know you have someone. I'm standing here at 2 a.m. like an idiot with a master key, and I fully understand how this looks.
The room was very quiet. Lock the door behind you, I said.
What?
The front door. Lock it. He disappeared for 30 seconds. I heard the deadbolt slide home. Then he came back. That night was the second time, and it was nothing like Thursday, which had been impulsive and a little reckless and over before either of us had fully processed what we were doing. This was deliberate, unhurried. The specific quality of something that both people have been thinking about for 3 days and have finally stopped pretending they aren't going to do. By the time the sun started coming through the curtains, I had 4 texts from Jake asking if I wanted breakfast. Ryan was already gone. The front door was locked from the inside. His key had opened it from the outside. I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling and thought, I need to change the locks. I didn't change the locks. Chapter 5. Jake comes over. The following Saturday, Jake came over in the early afternoon. He brought groceries, made lunch. We watched something neither of us paid attention to, his arm around me, easy and familiar and completely unaware. At 4 p.m., my phone buzzed on the coffee table. Ryan. A single message. Thinking about you. I angled the screen away from Jake before I'd consciously decided to.
Who's that?
Building management, I said. Something about the water pressure on the top floor. Jake nodded and went back to the show. My heart was doing something it had no business doing. That evening, after Jake left, I sat on the couch with my phone and thought about what I was managing. 2 men who both had keys to my apartment, one of whom knew about the other, and one of whom absolutely did not. Ryan texted again at 10 p.m. Is he gone? I looked at the message for a long time. Then I typed back, yes. 20 minutes later, the lock clicked. Chapter 6. The night Jake almost found out. It was a Tuesday night, 3 weeks into the arrangement. Jake called at 8 p.m.
Hey, I'm finishing up early. Thought I'd come over, bring dinner. You want Thai or that pizza place you like?
Ryan was already there. He'd arrived at 7, let himself in the way he always did now, the click of the key, the soft close of the door, shoes off at the entrance like he lived there. We were in the middle of a conversation in the kitchen when Jake's name lit up my screen. I picked up immediately. "Ty sounds perfect," I said. My voice was completely level. I'm in the middle of tidying up. Give me like 45 minutes?
45 minutes? I'm literally 10 minutes away.
The place is a disaster, Jake. Seriously, 45.
Okay, 45 minutes. Should I get extra spring rolls?
Always. I hung up. Ryan was leaning against the kitchen counter, watching me.
45 minutes.
You need to leave. Now.
I heard. 45 minutes.
Ryan.
I'm going. He pushed off the counter, unhurried, which was somehow more unnerving than if he'd panicked. For what it's worth, you didn't sound nervous at all just now. That was impressive.
Get out. He picked up his jacket from the chair where he'd left it, walked to the door, paused with his hand on the frame.
Same time Thursday?
I will change the locks.
You keep saying that.
He left. I spent the next 38 minutes doing the fastest cleanup of my life, changing the sheets, opening the windows, moving Ryan's water glass from the counter to the dishwasher. Jake arrived at exactly the 45-minute mark, with Thai food and absolutely no idea. We ate on the couch. He stayed until midnight. After he left, I sat in the kitchen and looked at the door. The lock that Ryan could open from the outside with a key I had never asked him to return. And for the first time, I genuinely asked myself how long I thought this could go on. Chapter 7. The morning everything cracked. It was a Friday morning. Jake had stayed over. He was still asleep, facing the wall, breathing slow and steady, completely at peace. At 6:47 a.m., the front door opened. I heard it from the bedroom. That specific click, the one I'd learned to recognize the way you learn to recognize a person's footsteps. Ryan. I sat up so fast the mattress shifted. Jake stirred.
What time is it?
Early. Go back to sleep. He settled back down. I slid out of bed, grabbed the first thing I could reach, Jake's hoodie from the floor, and pulled it on as I moved quietly down the hallway. Ryan was in the kitchen. He'd already put the kettle on. He looked at me, looked at the hoodie, understood immediately.
I didn't know you had company.
You can't be here, I whispered. You need to leave, right now.
The kettle's already on.
Ryan, I'm serious. He is 20 feet away.
Then keep your voice down.
He said it so calmly that for a second I couldn't speak.
I'll go. I didn't know. You should have told me. He reached past me to turn off the kettle before it could whistle. His arm brushed mine. Tell him the building sent someone to check the smoke detector. That's believable.
He moved toward the door, quietly, shoes back on without sitting down.
For what it's worth, he said softly. I'm sorry. That was my fault.
He left. I stood in my kitchen in Jake's hoodie, heart slamming, and listened to the front door close with the soft, practiced quiet of someone who had learned exactly how much pressure it took to shut it without making a sound. From the bedroom, Jake's voice, still half asleep.
Who were you talking to?
Building management, I said. Smoke detector check. Go back to sleep. A long pause.
At 7 in the morning?
Apparently. Another pause.
That's weird.
I know. He went back to sleep. I stood in the kitchen until my heartbeat slowed down enough that I trusted my voice. Then I picked up my phone. And for the first time since the Thursday afternoon with the robe and the folder and the water glass on the counter, I typed a message to Ryan and meant every word of it. This is over. Don't come back. I'm changing the locks today. I set the phone down. Went back to the bedroom. Lay down beside Jake, who was already asleep again, completely unaware of how close everything had just come to unraveling. That afternoon, I called a locksmith. The new deadbolt was installed by 4 o'clock. Ryan never used a key on my door again. But for a long time after, longer than I'd like to admit, I'd lie awake at 2 a.m. and listen to the silence where that click used to be. And I wasn't sure if what I felt was relief or something else entirely. That's where this story ends. Thank you for listening. If this stayed with you, subscribe, leave a like, and turn on notifications. See you in the next one.